Aboard the USS Stingray. Chapter 2.
I ordered the Stingray to return to the Gavragon wormhole to continue our tour of duty in the hull. As we reached the wormhole event horizon, I ordered Marina message to Admiral Paul. Delivered the Sloving ship and crew home. Have returned to the wormhole to continue our tour of duty. Captain Peel. Number 1, into the wormhole, 2 nanoseconds. Bill replied,
Aye, aye, sir. Keel, Nick, in we go. Execute 2 nanoseconds.
The ship came to a stop, and we began our search. Our scanners picked one object 2,000 meters to the port. I ordered Nick to approach the object SL-10, and what we saw was fantastic. A dragon, a tremendous 200-foot-long green and red, winged lizard. It seemed to be sleeping, and perhaps in our imagination, smoke issuing from its nostrils. Everyone turned to me, seeming to ask, "What now?" Marina, summon and send Nakamura to the bridge, please. Joy entered the bridge and reported. I directed her attention to the scanner, and she exclaimed,
Wow, it's beautiful.
I said, Joy, we need to communicate with the dragon, my left eyebrow raised in a questioning expression. She spun around to me.
May I choose my team?
I asked, Team? She replied,
That is the symbol of my family. We have 3 of my family on the Stingray. May I have them accompany me to the dragon?
Joy, is it this dragon or any dragon? She replied,
This dragon, sir.
I told her to pick her team and do what they know needs to be done. Joy, crewman Takayama, and Lieutenant Matsunaga suited up and teleported to the back of the dragon. I couldn't tell what happened, but Joy told me later.
We arrived on the dragon's back and reached out to her with our minds. At first, she didn't seem to notice anything, but after a little while, we heard, in our minds, a voice speaking in Japanese. The gentle voice asked, Who are you? And we told her our names and our lineage. We told her that we were of the family of Nakamura. She replied with our traditional greeting. We explained that we were in a wormhole. We had to explain what we meant, and then we asked what she wanted to do, stay in the wormhole or return home to Japan. She said that she wanted to go home. Then we explained our dilemma about her size and need to breathe and eat. And so we came back to you, sir. What should we do?
I laughed. If the Constitution could ferry a pod of whales to Sector 00, the Stingray could take this dragon home. Joy said,
Sir, this is a Japanese dragon, and her name is Tatsu.
All right, I'll get Obi to put a shield around Tatsu, and we will take her home. Just find out what she needs to eat and order the replicators to produce it. Using our shields and tractor beam, we towed Tatsu from the wormhole and started toward Earth. I informed Admiral Paul of our passenger and destination. Admiral, we will require assistance in seeing the Tatsu would reach Mount Fujiyama safely. When we arrived, the Admiral assured me that he would have several space tugboats near Japan. In conference with OB, I determined that the Stingray could enter the atmosphere, hover over Mount Fuji, and safely deposit our passenger to the mountain. I told Admiral Paul we would enter the atmosphere, gently put Tatsu on the mountain, and return to the wormhole. Joy and her friends eagerly replicated food for Tatsu and went out and fed her. For the 3, it was an obligation of Joy. They spent hours with Tatsu and assured the dragon everything was going well. I asked Joy, do you think Admiral Yellowtooth would care to meet Tatsu? Joy replied,
I can't answer for that dragon, but we could ask him.
I directed a hyperspace message be sent to the Admiral asking whether he might be interested in meeting Tatsu. He replied,
Tatsu? I would be honored to meet you in Sector 00.
As we approached Sector 00, we saw the Confederation. Marina said,
Captain, we're being hailed.
on screen. Then I saw the Admiral. Admiral, we meet again. I heard a roar I knew well.
Tasha, Captain Peel, congratulations. Nice ship. That's one of those Bradley-class ships, isn't it?
Yes, my dear Admiral, but would you like to meet Tatsu? His reply was almost a whisper. In awe, he said,
Yes, I would love to meet her.
The Admiral teleported to the Stingray and met with me and Joy's team. Joy led him to her back and made the introduction. After several hours, the Admiral returned to the Stingray, tears running down his face as he met with me. He thanked me profusely and said,
Tasha, Captain Peel, Tatsu is the mother of my race. I am grateful to you for this honor.
He gently wrapped his forepaws around me and kissed my cheek.
I will honor you in my heart forever for allowing me to meet my mother.
He nodded.
If you ever need help, I will do whatever you need. Goodbye, Captain. Come seas and fair winds.
Then, that great wingless dragon teleported back to his ship and started to move away. Joy and her team stood smiling with tears running down their faces.
Captain, all of this. I don't know what to say. The Admiral was overcome with humility and AI. I cannot translate AI, but it means an intense love. When the Admiral said that he would do anything to help you in time of need, he meant anything, even to give his life. Your thought that he might like to meet Tatsu to the Admiral was an act of AI love.
Marina said,
Captain, Admiral Yellowtooth for you.
on screen, I commanded. The Admiral asked,
Captain Peel, may I accompany you to Tatsu's home world?
I replied, of course, Admiral. You are always welcome. And please, call me Tasha. He roared.
Tasha, my dear, dear friend. Yellowtooth out.
I looked at Joy. If the Admiral were human. I felt my face burning. Joy laughed.
He is quite a man, isn't he?
Joy, you had better keep all of this under your hat. Smiling, she responded.
Aye, Captain.
The next morning, Joy reported to duty wearing the most ridiculous hat I have ever seen. Joy. What is this? Laughing, she responded.
You ordered me to keep something under my hat.
Everyone on the bridge burst out laughing. Nick was rolling on the deck. I tried to look menacing and said, Nicholas Kosey, get off the deck. But that didn't come off at all like I wanted as I burst into laughter. Chuckling, I choked out, let's get to work. The crew turned and began to do their duties, still chuckling a little. We approached Earth and worked to enter the atmosphere and gently deposit Tatsu on Mount Fuji. After which, we retreated to space and established orbit, then we teleported down to the mountain to bid adieu to our passenger. Gathered at the foot of the mountain were thousands to greet Tatsu home. Joy and her team encouraged me to touch Tatsu, and when I did, I received a warm, gentle expression of gratitude from the dragon. The Admiral joined us, and we celebrated Tatsu's return home. Then she reached out a paw and touched me, and we bid her goodbye. I said, Tatsu, Mother of Dragons, we were honored to be of service to you, Ikimisu. And we departed. Admiral Yellowtooth radioed.
Tasha.
Then he rumbled something and departed. Joy told me that he had said that he saw me as a warrior, an equal, and had great affection for me as a woman. I was floored, gobsmacked, and felt highly complimented. Later, Joy admitted that she had hidden some of the truth from me.
The Admiral also said that he loves you, Captain.
I, frankly, didn't know how to process this information. I was still in love with David. But the extreme maleness of the Admiral pulled at me. How could a human and a dragon become intimate? I pushed, that is, I forcefully shoved these thoughts away and ordered the Stingray back to the wormhole. I ordered, number 1, 3 nanoseconds into the wormhole. As we approached the 3 nanosecond mark, the sensor lab called out.
Captain, we seem to have found another lost one.
I asked, "What have we found?" Mabel answered.
I don't know, it looks like a swarm of bees.
I told Marina to page Joy Nakamura to come to the bridge. As she entered the bridge, I asked, "Joy, could you contact those bees?" She replied,
I can only try. Captain, would you like to be actively involved?
I shrugged. How? She indicated the ready room and we entered. She turned and asked me to sit beside her and take her hand. Then I heard, felt, sensed her in my mind.
Captain, we will reach out to the bees and ask who they are.
I felt us reach out and ask.
Who are you?
Then we waited and waited and waited. Then we asked again,
Who are you?
and there was a faint buzzing.
We are the swarm. Humans call us Apis mellifera.
We asked, "Do you know where you are?" They replied, buzzing.
No.
I tried to explain where they were, and they seemed to understand. Then, I asked if they wanted to be taken to Earth. The bees replied, yes, they would. Joy and I discussed how to get them home when she said,
Why don't we put them in the botanical garden?
I responded, brilliant. Transporter room, I ordered, teleport that swarm of bees to the botanical garden. On my command. We reached out again, we will teleport you to our botanical garden. Please, do not attack my crewmen, no one will harm you unless you attack them. They replied,
We will not attack.
I said, transporting you to Earth will take 10 days. Then we will release you into the atmosphere of Earth. We exited the wormhole and reported our find and plan to Admiral Paul, who responded, bees? We haven't seen bees on Earth for 400 years. Great rescue. Stingray, report when you are in Sector 00. Our journey to Sector 00 was uneventful, and we reported upon arrival in Sector 00. We dropped into the atmosphere above a field of clover, and Joy and I reached out to the bees and asked them to leave the ship under their own power, because it would be safer for all concerned. As the bees exited the ship, we received a message from Admiral Marovich.
Stingray, this is possibly the most significant rescue any ship has made to date. It will have a massive impact on Earth's agriculture. In a few years, we should begin to see the difference.
I said, number 1, we have to make one more trip to the wormhole. Let's get with it. Bill replied,
Aye, sir. Keel, Nick, to the wormhole. UL-12.
Arriving at the wormhole, we drove in 4 nanoseconds and began scanning. Mabel, what do you see? She replied,
Sir, I don't see. Wait. I see something. Sir, I don't know what it is.
I'll be right there, I responded. As I stepped into the sensor lab, I heard a gasp.
Captain, is a snake.
I did as Joy had shown me. I reached out with my mind to contact the snake. I woke in sickbay, my mind whirling. I heard all over, and I felt dirty, no, filthy. I looked around, and Dr. Jordan came to me.
Tasha, are you all right?
I replied, no. My mind feels like it was twisted. I feel dirty. Liz, what happened to me? Liz shook her head.
Mabel said that she had told you we had found a lost snake, and you stood still and then just collapsed. She called me, and I brought you here. Tasha, I'm going to give you a sedative and help you get some sleep. Bill knows what happened.
I shouted, tell Bill to run. Out of this wormhole. Back home, Dr. Jordan looked at her captain.
She's even beautiful when she's asleep.
She relayed my message to Bill, and he moved the Stingray out of the wormhole, ensuring that nothing followed the ship. I woke 12 hours later, showered, dressed, and went to the bridge. As I entered the bridge, my first officer called out.
Captain on the bridge.
Then he asked.
Captain, are you all right?
I nodded, then he asked.
What happened?
I stood for a moment, and Bill started toward me. Bill, we encountered a snake. I tried to communicate with it. It attacked my mind. It was pure evil, hatred, death, filth, and I can't explain it. I must have passed out, and Mabel called Dr. Jordan. I woke up in sickbay and felt violated, dirty, and filthy. Liz gave me a sedative, and I slept for 12 hours. I need to talk to Tatsu. Bill said.
I reported to Admiral Paul what I knew. I can send an amended report for you. The Admiral was very concerned about you. And so was Admiral Yellowtooth.
I asked Bill to push it, top speed. Bill, I need to talk to Tatsu as soon as possible. He turned to Nick.
Nick, you heard the captain, UL maximum.
Nick replied.
Aye, sir. UL 18 plus.
The Stingray shuddered slightly, then UL 18 plus. As we raced home, Marina said.
Captain, Admiral Yellowtooth for you.
I asked, please, pipe it to my ready room. In my ready room, yes, Admiral? He replied.
Tasha, are you all right?
I answered, no. I must speak to Tatsu. I must speak to the Mother of Dragons. He replied.
I understand. How can I help?
Ryu, I don't know. But the snake damaged me. I must speak with Tatsu. Then I thought, Ryu, I love you. And I heard.
Tasha, I love you too.
Admiral, did I say that? He replied.
No, my dear Tasha. But I heard it anyway.
Then he signed off, and I missed him already. At shift change, I went to my cabin, ate, read, and prayed. Then I tried to sleep, but I woke screaming, the snake, and I wept, shaking like a fall leaf in the wind, in the cold, cold wind. It would be 7 days before we arrived in Sector 00, and I knew that sleep would be sheer hell for me until I could speak to Tatsu, the Mother of Dragons. I thought about Ryu, Admiral Yellowtooth, and dreamed of being with him. I fell asleep, and Ryu came to me in my dreams, protecting me from the snake. This was my salvation, my protection from the snake, Ryu, my love. Every night, I had to call out to Ryu to protect me from the snake, and I could sleep peacefully. We arrived in Sector 00 and established a geosynchronous orbit above Mount Fuji. I teleported down to speak to Tatsu. Tatsu asked,
Tasha, you are troubled. What is it?
Tatsu asked. I said, Mother of Dragons, my mind was touched by a snake, and I am damaged. Help me, please. She touched my mind.
My daughter, I have eaten the snake.
I asked, Daughter? She touched my cheek.
You have fallen in love with my son Ryu, you shall be my daughter-in-law.
Tatsu, doesn't he have to be my husband for me to be your daughter-in-law? She replied,
It shall be so.
I asked, how can that be? How can a human and a dragon be intimate? She smiled.
You shall see, daughter, you shall see.
Thank you, Mother, thank you, I whispered, and I returned to the Stingray. Upon return, Bill told me we had a new diplomatic assignment to the Krill homeworld, Flazinga, and others. We teleported an ambassador and his staff and Vice Admiral Susan Sims. I greeted her, Admiral, it's so good to see you again. She smiled at me.
Tasha Peel, isn't it? From the Constitution? So, you're captain of your own ship.
She stuck out her hand.
Congratulations, Captain.
Thank you, sir, I replied.
Well, what wild adventures await us, Captain?
I laughed. I wish I knew. Our first appointment was at the Krill homeworld, where we met with negotiator Sheila and the president of their government. I was only the chauffeur and did not attend the diplomatic meetings. The Stingray remained in orbit until the ambassador and his staff had returned. I did get to spend several hours with negotiator Sheila purely socially, reminiscing about the Constitution and her crew, especially her captain. Sheila confessed love for David, as did I, but then we spoke of our new lives, her new mate, and my encounter with Admiral Yellowtooth. After 2 weeks, the Stingray departed for Flyzinga. Admiral Sims and I sat quietly in my ready room talking. She shared about her new life as Mrs. Sims, the love, comfort, and now, her pregnancy was joyous. She asked me about my life, and I told her about the Sloving's rescue, the Stingray upgrade, and our encounter with Tatsu, the mother of dragons. I left out the snake and my feelings for Ryu. Talking with Sheila was quite different from talking with Susan, and I felt that my secret should not be shared with a naval officer. The comm sounded.
Admiral, a burst message for your eyes only.
Admiral Sims replied.
Type it to me in the ready room, please. Captain, please.
I left the room and waited. The Admiral stuck her head out.
Captain, please join me.
In the ready room, she told me that, with sobs, her Dale had been killed in a sneak attack on the Bradley by an unknown enemy.
My orders are to take the ambassador back to Sector 00 and then investigate the attack.
I took the command chair, alert status, yellow. Keel, Nick, Sector 00, maximum burn. Everyone turned to look at me. The Bradley was attacked. There were casualties. That's all we know for now. Admiral Sims remained in the ready room, mourning her husband. After an hour, she stepped out of the ready room. Her expression was one had seen on Commodore Stevens when we had been attacked, and he was determined to make the aggressors pay dearly for their treachery.
Thank you, Tasha. I'm going to be all right. I will avenge my Dale.
Gordon in the sensor lab called.
Captain, 7 unknown ships ahead. Weapons hut shields up, seem to form a blockade.
Red alert. Number 1, I want 4 gunners to man our plasma cannons, shields up. Nick, ramming speed. I turned to Bill. This is my addition to our improved capability, a ramming shield, using 3 shield technologies. 4 men ran onto the bridge and took positions at the plasma cannon controls. I ordered, target 1 ship each. Hold your fire until I give the order. When I say, give your target everything you've got. I ordered, Marine, hail those ships. Marina replied.
No response, Captain.
Keel called out.
1,000 kilometers, Captain.
I waited.
500, 400, 300, 200.
I said, fire. And 4 of the ships disappeared. The remaining ships ran. Admiral Sims ordered.
Pick one and run it down.
Nick didn't flinch as he followed the Admiral's order. We were faster than the enemy and quickly overtook the other ship.
Fire,
ordered the Admiral, and that ship disappeared. Keel shouted.
I can find the other captain.
I ordered, do it. Nick, follow Keel's directions. We quickly ran down a second off the coward ships, and it disappeared as well. Keel, can we get the last one? I asked. He replied.
Sensor lab, can you track that last ion trail?
Mabel replied.
Got M. 10 degrees to port.
Nick made adjustments, and we soon caught up to the last of them, lasers, take out their engines and weapons. I want those cowards in my brig. The Admiral smiled a nasty grin, nodding approval.
Tasha, you're brilliant.
I sent a security team under the command of my first office. Bill, I want those cowards alive. But as always, shoot first and ask questions later.